Welcome back, everyone. Shiseido says potential has no age. That means no expiration date. Too often, society tries to place an invisible cap on what we can achieve based merely on the number of years that we've lived. Well, I want to ask you all to do me a favor. Imagine if your age never crossed your mind. It never crossed the minds of anyone you know. What would you pursue? Would you pivot in your career at this point? Would you chase some new dreams? It's definitely something to think about. Well, we're also going to have a lot to think about in just a moment because for our next panel, we have a group of true boss ladies who are here to share their stories of how they have refused to be defined by a number and how they have been chasing their dreams and reshaping what the meaning is of ageless beauty. Now, I know you all are going to have a lot of questions for this panel. So once again, everyone that's on the live stream, that QR code that you're seeing on your screen, everyone here in the room, you should see that QR code on your agenda. Do not wait to the last minute. Start submitting your questions for this panel as soon as they come to your mind. We're going to do our best to try to get through as many as possible during the Q&A session immediately following this panel. Now, without further delay, I'm so excited to welcome our next panel to the stage. Let's please welcome back our moderator, Executive Vice President of Forbes, Moira Forbes, who's joined by designer and partner of Fundamental Co., Jenna Lyons, one of the most influential models of all time, Linda Evangelista, and Shiseido U.S. Chief Marketing Officer, Agnes Landau. Let's please give them all another round of applause.
I think you all are as excited for this conversation as I am. And throughout the day, we've been talking about this irony that we often equate beauty and youth together. And today, we're going to have an honest conversation around what it means to age. Is there such a thing as aging gracefully as we talk about these themes? But I also have three remarkable women who have approached and have insights into this type of conversation from very, very different vantage points. So we'll hear their wisdom, their insights, and the lessons learned around how we can reshape some of these narratives and claim the confidence that age should be bringing us. So ladies, thank you so much. Linda, I'll start with you because you are someone in your career, you've been a defining face of beauty standards, and you're now a really powerful voice for authenticity. But throughout your careers, you've talked about your image has been both an asset and a liability in terms of the burden it's placed, how it's valued, and navigating that in a way that's done so in the public eye and scrutinized by others. Can you talk about how your perspectives on beauty and confidence have evolved over time and the dynamic of these really complex emotions?
Hi, everyone. Yes, very complex emotions and thoughts always, that go through our heads. I never had feedback when I was in my 20s or 30s or 40s like I do today. And the only feedback I had were people in my industry or letters to the editor. Today, there's so much feedback, and so much of it is noise, and we know how unhealthy the noise can be. I battle that noise, and I also battle my internal demons. I'm so great and believe the advice that I give to my son, and to people that ask, and to young people. I believe what I tell them about beauty and where it comes from, and loving oneself. But the thing is, I got into trouble a few years ago because I didn't take that advice and apply it to myself. I didn't use it on myself. And I have to keep reminding myself that, someone who's battled cancer twice, I'm so happy to be alive. I don't care what form it is in. I want to see my grandchildren one day. I want to continue to see my son grow into this beautiful man that he's become. And I have so much left to do. I just feel like the healthier I am, the better I eat, the more active I stay. And it makes me feel good to indulge in beauty routines. And I believe in research and development with clinicals behind it, so I believe in great skincare. I believe in my doctors, dermatologists, as long as I know what I'm getting into, and as long as it's safe. I believe in some light lasers and some help from the dermatologist. All that, if I like where I'm at and I'm happy, usually I look better. So just keeping myself healthy makes me feel better about myself, and I have to not listen to the noise.
And you've been at the center of this noise. If it's a challenge for all of us, right, in our daily lives, the magnitude of what that noise is like, I think is really astounding. But I love how you talk about it and the fact that we just have to invest in ourselves and put the time and work in ourselves and how that shows up.
We absolutely owe it to ourselves to be the healthiest we can be, and that translates as happiness, and then happiness translates as, wow, you look great.
Mm-hmm. It is so true, right? Sometimes something seems so simple, right, is the hardest to capture.
But following through
is the harder part. Jenna, when you and I spoke last week, I love the quote you said, beauty, it's an inside job, meaning it starts with what we've talked about, really, how we feel about ourselves. And you've had this fascinating career in fashion and beauty as someone who has helped be a creative force behind helping women feel powerful. You're someone who's also been a voice of embracing what makes you different, is what makes you powerful and beautiful and the like. You are someone who is in the public eye as well. So a lot of these different intersections. How has all of this shaped your view and beauty and authenticity? And what has been the biggest surprise to you in this own evolution for you personally?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. I love seeing people in seats. There's nothing worse than looking at a crowd and a bunch of empty seats. So I'm glad you're all here. I think probably, and I don't like the ear thing, so that's why I'm doing this. I think probably the biggest thing that I recognized when I started to have a more public life was the more I opened up to the things that I didn't have confidence in, the things that were different about me, the more I shared those things, the more connected I was to people. It was amazing to me how I was so terrified of saying, like, I have a genetic disorder. I had conicular teeth when I was growing up. I have bald spots in the back of my head. My skin has scars all over it. I was terrified to say it. And once I said it, I was amazed at the incredible feedback that I got. And the feedback was surprisingly really warm. And it really made me see, like, everyone's just trying to make it work. No one is perfect. The Instagram life that everyone shows myself, it's not real. And I think that idea of, like, understanding it, that's like being proud of who you are. And I think even listening to you talk, it's like there's something so, we get taken out by everyone else. And, like, at the end of the day, it's kind of what we do inside. And there's nothing better than being in a room with people who are smiling and beautiful and happy. And like being a bitch can suck the air out of a room. So, like, I enjoy people who are, like, happy, and, like, that really means something. And that energy, like, transfers to me, and it makes me feel good. And then I feel prettier.
I love that the idea that you feel more beautiful when you lean into the things that you've always have thought you wanted to hide or not share. And this idea of if you flip the script, how liberating that can be for yourself, but I think even in the conversation today for each other as well. Agnes, when we spoke as well, I've been a longtime admirer of your career. You have been in the beauty industry for many decades, and in an industry where very often women above 40 or 50 were invisible. I read a statistic, women appeared, of those those ages, less than 5% of beauty campaigns. Even less than 5% was a higher number than I thought. But today we're in this really important and transformative moment around how we talk about aging. And you described it as a moment. Can you share this evolution and how we ensure that this is something lasting rather than a window of conversation at this time?
Yes, first of all, hi everyone. I have been in the beauty industry 40 years. Okay, and when I was in my 30s and 40s, I looked around me, I look above me, and I'm like, what happens to the people here when they're 50, 55? It's like disappear. I'm like, they go to a different planet. I mean, they're put to pasture. What goes on? And nobody around that age. By the way, I'm 62. Okay? So you need to say the number to demystify it, right? To take the power away. So my career and why I'm here now at Shiseido, after I left another beauty company, actually was propelled by another woman of my age that spoke to another person that was looking for a CMO, my boss, and he talked to me and he said, you're the person that I want. And that is a testament to his vision of making sure that voices like ours are being heard in the industry. And I think also to the energy and the power that we have and what we bring to the party. And I said that this is an incredible moment in terms of what is happening, and it might be a lot to do with the fact that we have a lot of baby boomers that are right now at this age, and we're doing a lot of things. We're seeing it in Hollywood, right? A lot of movies suddenly came out that are obviously featuring women that are in their 50s and in their 60s. So there's an incredible moment where women are saying, you know what, I have a voice and I want that voice to be heard. And I don't want to be silenced. And I think that is powerful. But how do we keep translating that into a moment that is lasting, right? That it's not just now and it goes away. And to me, it's about keeping these conversations alive. It's about inspiring other women as they're coming in their careers and in whatever they're doing and saying, hey, you can be around for a long, long time, as long as you want, as long as you have the energy and the desire to put something forward. You know, you are relevant, and what you say and bring to the party is important for us to listen to. So I think it's we need to keep having the conversation, and we need to keep inspiring and motivating other women.
Well, I love it, the way that you opened your insights. You shared your age, right? And we all applauded that, which is just a reminder. And when you shared your age last week when we were speaking, I was so struck how rare that is. Or I have two young boys, I said, and when they want to know a woman's age, I said, don't ask their age, it's rude. As if it's this something that's a negative, and what a gift in life if we have this gift of aging. And Linda, you talked about what a gift of being there for your son and all these extraordinary moments, and the fact that there's this inherent tension and fight with the realities of something that's really natural and in many ways a gift, and how society perceives that as well. All of you I admire also, because all of you are using your platforms to help shape narratives and really push this conversation in different directions. Linda, how do you think we need to be changing the conversation around aging? And what's been your biggest surprise as it relates to your journey of self-acceptance, and how that can speak to how we need to have more honest and very different conversations?
It amazes me that you even have to ask that question, because aging is the most natural part of the cycle of life. And I am part of the conversation because I became very well known when I was very, very young for my beauty. And I think that with time, there's a bunch of other women in my industry, and there's other people well known. We grew up in front of the cameras, and we showed there was no expiration date. And what we really need is women supporting women. And I just feel that you were one of the first ones to support me. You're so lovely. Jenna is a woman's woman, and we need more women's women in this world to hold each other up rather than knock each other down. But older women have a place for. I know I can still sell clothes, and I can still sell beauty products, and I'm still useful and valuable to some people. And it's just with the persistence and potential we can show that we don't expire.
When have you felt the most beautiful in your life?
Well, my answer is wrong. When I felt the most beautiful. I think of my favorite photos I have ever done in my life. I was in my 20s. So that's just wrong because even I am affected by all the issues surrounding age. But I feel like this is just an example. I did a cover for a German magazine with an incredible photographer, and it just so happens, I hope it's okay.
Of course.
Okay, it's Jenna's partner. And Jenna was there that day, and she was present on one of the covers. We brought her into the pictures, but when I was changing, they asked me, can we see your, I don't know what you said, if it was my chest or my whatever. I have had a double mastectomy. And I had never shown anyone besides my family. And they said, they were like, wow, it's so beautiful. And I was like, it is? And they were like, yeah. And I needed someone to say it. I should have known myself looking in the mirror, something I don't love to do. But I should have known that it is beautiful, and they made me feel beautiful. And I even said, okay, I'll do the picture, take the shirt off. I mean, go. I was like,
Obvious.
I'm beautiful. But I needed to hear it from someone else. So I just really think it's important that as women, we support each other and uplift each other. And I think we're like all in this together, you know?
What really strikes me, though, Linda, when when you share that story, it's sort of this moment, right? This unexpected moment that was so transformative to you. And Jenna, you're again someone who has seen this industry in a multitude of different dimensions. What's your takeaway in terms of the power that each of us has to inspire that confidence and beauty? And where do you think we need to be rethinking and challenging some of the narratives that, as Linda said, just play in our own head, rightly or wrongly?
I mean, first of all, I just want to say, I don't know if I have to talk about this moment between the two of us, because you talked about it, but I get to talk about it. I grew up wanting to be in fashion, and from the earliest memories I had, I remember seeing Linda. And I think people think that being beautiful is the ticket to being a model, but it's not. And I have been on the other side of editing film for years when I was at J. Crew. And there is something tangible that is hard to describe when a model lights up the stage, and she really does. And I think it's not just being pretty, it is this awareness and appreciation in beauty. And Linda walked in and I was starstruck, and she was so incredibly gracious and warm to me and made me not feel like a little kid who was like and then saw how incredibly emotional I was, because it brought back all of my history of just falling in love with fashion and falling in love with her, knowing how incredibly talented she was. She was beautiful, but she was, the way that she exuded grace and spunk and elegance in a photograph is unusual, and it's why she was a supermodel and still is. And so for me to have that moment and then her bring me into the picture and say, I'd love for you to be in the picture with me like made me misty. I was teary-eyed.
Well, you were someone I looked up to. You were
Don't
like this
understand this.
awesome, incredible, businesswoman,
Nope.
and you were like this goddess. And
Nope.
so, yes,
Yes.
I looked up to you.
Amazing. But I think to answer your question, like I think as you said, I grew up not understanding that like I could ask for help. I grew up not understanding that like I needed to take care of the other women around. I wasn't told to do that. Like I didn't grow up that way. And it wasn't until I got into the workplace and I realized how incredibly important it is. Like we have to take care of each other, and lifting other people up or like giving them even the smallest compliment, it means something. And it's not necessarily about age, but I do think, particularly of someone who is older, I think we have to set the example. And I think it's really like powerful. I was at a restaurant the other day with my son, and he looked over at the woman who came to the table and he said, "You are so beautiful, you look great." And I could see her eyes light up. And she was so touched by this. And it's like, it matters. It matters what you hear. It matters the feedback that you get from others. All those little moments add up to something. So I think like being kind and being gracious and being like adoring. And listen, not everyone's going to get to meet Linda Evangelista. She's mine. But it was a really like very special moment for me, and I'm so grateful.
You're so sweet.
Thank you both for sharing that. It was, it's really poignant in terms of what it meant to both of you. And I also am just so struck, we're having a conversation around beauty and the fact that the words that we use, and both of you have talked about the need to support each other and women needing to support each other in this journey is such an important pillar of this conversation. We don't always necessarily connect that when we're talking about beauty. So thank you. Thank you for that story. And Agnes, you've been someone who's also been really pushing and been at the forefront of having these very empowering narratives about what it means to age. I mean, the fact that there's a beauty and skincare brand that is talking about in this context of science and innovation, but talking also in the context of confidence and authenticity, and in doing so, pushing a broader industry around how we need to be rethinking the conversations we have with our consumers and ourselves. Can you talk more about that evolution, but why it was so important to you personally?
Well, I'm there, you know. So obviously, it's very much part of my life. As I said, I grew up in beauty. Beauty has been what I have been doing for forever. And to me, it is an incredible moment to flip the narrative. When we think about how in beauty that narrative can change, yes, we already talked about the fact that you need faces that represent the right ages, right? 20-year-old shouldn't be selling a lifting and firming and anti-wrinkle and all these things product, right? We should have the faces, and also because it's empowering, right? You want to see the right product in the right face and what it really can do. And it's honesty, by the way, and authenticity, by the way, right? The second piece to me is about the conversations and about the words. Words have power. We give them a lot of power, right? I said my age because that has power. Immediately people is like, right? Mature, menopausal. They exist, hello. They are happening. They happened to me. I had my own ecosystem for a couple of years, which was great during the winter, not so much. But it's important because it's conversations that we're having that basically talks about what is happening to us, and we don't have to be embarrassed by that. We shouldn't be embarrassed. We shouldn't be afraid. We shouldn't be ashamed. We should share, right, what our experiences are, because it helps somebody else. And when it comes to product, by the way, you have to develop and formulate a little bit differently when you're developing to perimenopausal or menopausal. The texture of the cream is going to be different. The amount of emolliency that you put in there is going to be different. So you have to be thinking about these things when you're developing the product. Also, we have a science for longevity, right? And meaning, in our creams, we can formulate the same way we think about our bodies, right? In our bodies, we say, okay, we have to have a good diet, we have to do exercise, we have to take care of ourselves in order to live, could look our best for longer, right? Well, we can do the same thing in skincare, right? We have the ability to actually make skin cells healthier, right? If you're taking care of your skin in a constant basis, if you're staying away from the sun, guys, the sun, very bad, very no bueno. No bueno, sun, no bueno. If you want the most effective and actually best anti-ager, SPF, right? Because it's just, not good for your skin. So protecting your skin and nourishing your skin are the two best things that you can do for keeping your skin healthier longer. And honestly, a routine that you can keep, because if you use it one day and then stop, that's not going to be good. So obviously keeping that routine, being able to do that is very important.
That consistency, you're right. If it's something you're going to stick to and do it, that's the most important thing. And we heard from that with our other panelists earlier. I do want to talk about that evolution in terms of how you approach beauty and how you approach aging. And Linda, I'll ask you, you touched on a little bit in the opening conversation around what you prioritize now as it relates to your skincare and how you view those aspects of your life. Can you talk more about that evolution and also how, rather than viewing aging through the lens of loss, have there been unexpected gifts you found along the way? Gifts in terms of things that have been surprises and good things that age.
Well, okay, so in my 20s, I was living in France, and I was using Embryolisse, and it has nothing in it, right? There's no actives in it. I don't think so. But it was like all I knew. And now I want to know there's actives. I want to know there's clinicals. I want a multitasking line of products that, combat, all my concerns. A gift I was given at the age of 33, suddenly I developed melasma. And that kept me out of the sun. My face has not seen the sun since I was 33. And I was doing the math earlier, so that's 27 years of no sun. So I think that was a good gift, because prior to that, I was using Lancaster had this shoe polish. Brown, greasy thing that would make you go so dark. I was going to Saint-Tropez on the weekends. When I would come to New York, I would go to the sun tanning salon, to the booth, to develop this color, and thinking I was loving this, Italian olive. My parents are both Italian, so I was developing that dark olive color, not knowing, I didn't know the damage I was doing. So the melasma was a gift, because since I was 33, I started practicing sun safety. So was that the question?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think. but I love how you talk about this evolution. You're really looking for science and innovation and the like.
I mean, they're tools. Why use a cream without benefits when you could use a cream with benefits, right?
Yeah, and finding the rituals and the practices.
Yeah, I believe in being transparent. Like I said, I want to age, but I want to look good along the ways, and I'm going to tell the truth. It's a little bit difficult. It's a little hard. It's not easy, and I'm not going to tell you it's because I drink 3 liters of water every day and that I have olive oil and I have avocados. I do that, but that is not why. That is not the only part of my regimen. I have dermatologists, and I like to use good skincare with actives, with clinicals behind it.
Jenna, from your perspective, how has your approach and your routine with beauty evolved in a way that you feel like also exemplifies how women today need to be thinking about our routines, not just in terms of products, but in terms of how we think about what they mean in our lives and what we're looking for with ourselves?
I mean, I think the thing that's changed for me the most is just like looking for trust. I think that I feel there has been so much misinformation in the beauty industry, and a lot of the things that I believed were doing things don't. And I remember really distinctly, you know, I had discovered Shiseido, the brand, years ago. I was actually introduced to it actually in Japan, but I remember specifically going to Kyoto, and I went into this tiny little store, and they were making brooms, and they were making the most beautiful, simple. They were not expensive. They were just so beautifully made in all of the materials. They had collected all the sticks. They were exactly the same size, and they had this beautiful waxed cotton that they were making with them. And I remember thinking how simple the approach was to something so basic. And that type of like intense sense of quality and attention to detail, and like also honoring like the environment and the way that you actually interact with it, I was so struck by. And I think that's something, it's one of the reasons I love Japan in and of itself, but I also think it makes me think about like, what am I using? Do I trust it? Do I trust these people? And I have to say, like, anyone who's Japanese, I would do anything they say.
It's so true. I go through the airports and I'm like, I can't read this, and there's a snail on it. And I'm like, this is great. I mean, but truly, that is not good advice in terms of that is not a good approach to take. But also, it's certain cultures approach beauty and aging and skincare very, very differently. And here in the States, it's very much a cosmetic thing, purely cosmetic. And Shiseido is a brand that really focuses on the innovation, the science, and the wellness aspect of it. Agnes, can you share how you think we need to be thinking more broadly about skincare as it relates to beauty? And what are some of the things, the conventional ways about how we think about these products that we need to challenge or reframe to better understand what we need at every age and what's going to be most impactful to us?
Well, I think the things that we have to change, I think I spoke a little bit about it, right? I started with Shiseido about 2 years ago. We started doing these conversations actually about a year ago. The team actually kickstarted that with Fat Mascara. I think you guys are here about a year ago. Because again, to everything that we are saying, that Jenna and Linda are saying, it's important that we have these conversations. It's important that we support each other. Beauty, yes, products are important, but there's a lot of beauty that also ties back to your mental health, right? And how you feel in your mind, right? And how beautiful you feel in your mind. And I can give you the best and most efficacious product, and if here you're telling yourself a different story, it's not gonna work. I'm gonna tell you right now. So I think all of these things work together, and we wanted to create that atmosphere where we have those real conversations and authentic conversations. Yes, and talk about the product and how the product is formulated and what is important about it, but also how kind of we need to support each other, right? And sometimes as women, let's say it, we're not that nice, you know? We can be a little bitchy, you were saying before, you know? And we kind of, we have to put that B to rest, right? Because I think we can be our worst critics with everyone, and there is so much power when you kind of support each other. I have to tell this story because it's one of my favorite stories. I was in a performance review with a woman that today is one of my great mentors. She retired already from the beauty industry. She was my boss. And, you know, I get the performance review. And then she says, I said to her, okay, so what are the areas that I need to improve? What are the areas that I'm not that good at that I need to improve? And she's like, no, that's not how we're gonna do this. I don't want you to focus on what you need to improve. I want you to focus on getting maximally great on the things that you do well. Right? And I thought that was an incredible insight, not only for work, but for life, right? Because it's the idea of always trying to find that incredible thing that somebody brings into the party and bringing it up, right? I never give a compliment that I don't mean, because it's never going to be authentic. But I can find something in each and every one of you that I like. And I will find it, and I will tell you about it. And I think, in a way, and you said it in your last presentation, I think that's our gift. That's the gift that somebody gives us, and the gift that I think it's our duty to give to somebody else. So that's on the mental end. And I think on the formulation end, when we're talking about Shiseido, I think, Jenna, you were saying it, and it's very true. This is a Japanese company. 150 years, right? It has been around formulating product. The oldest American prestige company is 70. That's at the age, right? So at that time, we were developing the first sunscreen product in the industry at that point in time, 70 years ago. So the amount of technology, the amount of science that goes into the products, the length of our new product development process, by the way, 3 years on the minimum end, right? If you have a real innovation that you're introducing, you might have been working on the molecule or the particular ingredient that is very unique for 10 or 15 or 20, right? So it's really the attention to quality, the attention to detail that the Japanese put on their product is incredible. I have been to the Global Innovation Center in Tokyo, and it is like no other I have seen. You know, scientists are definitely incredibly well regarded in this company. They are at the center of everything that we do because they are the ones that are developing this incredible technology that goes into all our products. So that's definitely a huge part of the DNA of the organization.
And I love that sort of each of you talk about what we need to prioritize and lean into as it relates to all the noise that is out there and all the different things that we get thrown our way. It's a fire hose of information, and how do we really lean into the things that matter, both in the conversations with ourselves and with others. Before we open up to some of the questions you all shared, I'd like to each of you to really just give us a piece of advice on this concept of confidence and aging. Linda, you opened the conversation saying that you're really good at giving other people advice around confidence and beauty and the like. What's one piece of advice you would have given your younger self, or that you wish your younger self had listened to and took action on around finding your self-confidence?
I wish I would have been told as a young person, you're beautiful. I was never told that. She's pretty. Oh, she looks good, and, you know, she's tall. And then going, you know, at work, it was like, oh, the foot looks good because they're talking about the pose, or the hair looks great, but no one ever said, you're beautiful. No one ever told me I was beautiful. So I make it a point to tell my son how beautiful he is, so that when he looks in the mirror, he's going to see beautiful. Because with myself, I'm really confused, because I still don't know what it means. But I was never told that. But I think it's really important. I think we know more today that we have to tell our children and tell everyone that they're beautiful, because they are. They are. And if you hear it enough, you may start to believe it.
That's really just striking, though, the fact that no one told you you were beautiful, and we're sitting in a room.
They were like, oh,
you know,
she's tall, or she's pretty, or, oh, she, you know. Nobody ever said, you're beautiful. I never heard those words. Never, ever, ever.
Which is all
And
the
so
more
how can you
remarkable.
feel beautiful if, I don't know. I just feel like we say it now more today. We know we need to say it to our children. We know that. Maybe it's just the generation that I came from, but I never heard it. I think it's just something we need to say to each other.
That's very powerful advice.
Not you look beautiful. You're beautiful.
That's a great distinction.
Yeah.
Jenna, what about you? What's one piece of advice you would have given to your younger self on this?
Linda, you made me misty.
Oh,
I can't believe that's crazy to me.
Oh,
But
I mean,
believe
and
it.
don't get me wrong, my mom and my parents really supported me, but I mean, that's not something, I never looked in the mirror and said, oh, you're beautiful. Not once, I still don't. But it's something I hope, like my son, if he looks in the mirror, I hope that thought crosses his mind.
I mean, I think the thing that I wish I had known when I was younger, or that I didn't listen to my gut, and I can tell you many times when I did that and when it did not serve me well. And you know that feeling in your stomach when you just know something is off, and that could be with a job, it could be with a man or a woman, whatever your predilection, I don't know, you know. We don't have to talk about that. But I think that there's so many times where I knew something was wrong and I didn't listen to myself. And if I can go back and retrace those steps, every single time, if I had listened to my gut, it would have been a better choice. And I don't know why I listen to outside people more than I listen to myself, and I wish I hadn't.
I love that aspect of confidence, just being confident in what your instincts are.
Yeah.
Your body knows. Your body knows. Like, sometimes your brain doesn't, but your body does.
What about you, Agnes?
I think it's related to that confidence too, in a way. I wish that I had had it a little bit more at home, to tell you the truth. So it was a little bit of a different experience. I grew up, I'm Puerto Rican, so I grew up in a little bit of a Latin culture, and we can be, it's fun and everything, but sometimes no much fun. A lot of criticism and what you're wearing, that's terrible.
Very family oriented.
Yes, but also very judgmental. We can be very, my sobremesas in my house, it was like, oh my God, you know what I mean?
So sweet.
Hard thing.
My
So,
hands are clammy.
so it could be very critical. It felt very critical. So in many ways, I felt I had to fight against that. I would have people saying, well, these people call you to ask your opinion, and I'm like, yeah, I'm their boss, and they're like, oh, and I'm like, oh, thank God, you know what I mean? I don't need you to find my confidence, but it definitely, I think, didn't help me. It made me doubt myself more. It made me not take maybe some risks that I could have taken at a certain point in time because I was afraid, So I think giving somebody the gift of saying, I'm here for you, and take it. You might fall on your face, but I'll be there and I'll pick you up, and we'll keep walking together. And that would have been fabulous, I think.
Yeah, I think just the talk tracks in our head in terms of self-doubt and confidence is, to your point, Jenna, if we listen to our gut, it's almost always right. But yeah, we also then sometimes have this opposing narrative that somehow we let be louder than the others around who we should listen to and when. In terms of audience questions, a lot of audience members have wanted to get a better insight in terms of how you prioritize wellness. You are three women with very, very busy careers. We talked a lot about the importance of sleep, how elusive that is. Can any of you weigh in terms of how you've learned to be more intentional, or what some of your practices are to really integrate those fundamentals just in terms of the day-to-day aspects of your life?
Go ahead.
I'm choosing you.
Okay, I'll go. I mean, I think it's a little bit of the same thing I was talking about. I never listened to my body when I was too tired. I never listened to my body when I'd eaten too much sugar. I never listened to myself when I was like, I probably didn't need to have that extra drink. There were so many moments where I have not listened to my body, and I'm so, it's the big thing for me. I am much better. Now I'm tired. I could go to bed.
Yeah.
I revel in, rest and cuddling and, quiet moments in a way that I could have done more so, but I take, that is religion for me. Cuddling, whether it be my partner or my child, is it's so feeds me and makes me like, it just makes me feel great. And so like I have incorporated that. I know it doesn't sound like a beauty routine, but it really is. And I'm like, I think I take rest and like those kinds of like moments much more seriously. And it's definitely become my religion.
Oh, though, it's what's restorative to you. It's what gives you energy.
Oh my God, give me a hug and I can go for another hour.
So everyone just start lining up after this. Well, I'll give Jenna a
I'm
hug.
really
She'll be
game.
bouncing
I love
off the
hugs.
walls. Linda, what about you? Is there any aspect of your beauty routine, one or two sort of more practical, tactical things that either would surprise people or practice around wellness that you think is underestimated?
Okay, so I wear sunscreen every day, even if it's winter. In the winter, okay, it'll be built in to my moisturizer, and then maybe if I'm wearing a tinted whatever, I'm trying to think. I mean, taking care, just my routine, just the way I eat, exercise, just taking care of myself, and then using the great, I'm able to get my hands on great skincare, but I think that everyone has access to great skincare. My advice is just finish the bottle. I'm guilty of not finishing the bottle because then there's another one that comes and you get excited about that one. I feel like we owe it to these companies to at least finish it so we can see the results that they were, promising us. And just the... Oh, and my humidifiers. I'm very grateful to my two humidifiers on either side of my head. I don't have anyone to cuddle with, but...
Come over.
I know. I've been public about not liking to hear people breathe in my bed, but it's... I'm fine. I'm okay alone, but I do like hugs. But I like it quiet.
You're out of luck, Jenna.
No, I love her. I'll come for snuggles. But I like my quiet room with my humidifiers. And when I have insomnia, which comes at this age,
Yes.
I decided to embrace it and get productive. I don't get out of bed or anything, but I just embrace it and read or do something that I was putting off, and I embrace it instead of being angry about being up at 3:30 in the morning.
Well, you got your humidifiers going, so at least you're glowing while you're up in
Well,
the middle
it's
of the
so
night.
dry right now. Oh my God, it's so dry. So I'm grateful for those.
And I love it. Both of you talked about you need to be more intentional and be more steadfast in terms of committing to the things that you know have the greatest value in your life, whether that be for you, Jenna, the cuddles, or you, Linda, not making sure no one's breathing in your room. No, I'm kidding. But it's important. You know what's important to you, and not being apologetic about the things that you know you need to prioritize. Agnes, for you, is there anything that you've learned or anything that you've incorporated?
Well, I definitely have the routine. My routine is like, don't follow it. It's too many products, just because I can, Last night I'm with my husband, we're watching a movie, and I have a mask on. He's like, and who? It's like, what are you wearing? And I love it. It's part of self-care. And I'm like, don't judge me. I'm trying this thing, and this is how it's going to go. But it's definitely, it's both, right? It's taking care of your skin, and it's also mentally kind of recharging you. The other thing, so I got this Aura ring, I have to say, and it gives me a lot of data all the time, and a lot of useless data, guys. So I'm not saying go ahead and buy it or whatever, but at least what it does is it makes me mindful of when I have to do certain things. Like, oh, you have to go to sleep now because you want your 8 hours of sleep or 7 hours of sleep, whatever you are hopefully going to get tonight. Every now and then it tells me I'm stressed, and I'm like, I'm at work, so of course I'm going to be a little stressed now. So shut up, It's like, no, you need rest periods, and I'm like, unless you're passing money into my account, It's not happening, okay? So it definitely, you gave it to me, so I know. It's all your fault. So, but I think it makes you mindful of that, right? Your routine does change when you're older. I used to be a big runner and run all the time and whatever, and I don't run anymore. I wake up and it's like the Tin Man. I need a little bit of, stretching to kind of start walking and everything. So you make stretching a little bit more of a part of your routine. So those are, you just have to work with how life changes your body and accept it. Don't fight it, sort of like embrace it, It is a gift to be this age, so.
So listen to your body, right?
Yeah.
And I have to laugh when you said stretching. Who would have ever thought, when I'm in my 20s, right? I would think that's absurd that people go to stretching classes, right? You're like, that's a waste of time. And now you're like, this is amazing. As we wrap up, I know we're out of time. So really quickly with each of you, the phrase potential has no age. Jenna, what does that mean to you?
I mean, I think having started over at the age of, God, I don't know, what was I, 50? I think even for me, like, I feel so lucky to be able to try new things. Have a whole new career. I never thought that would happen. And I'm glad that there's space for that. Like, I feel so grateful that I get to do all of these things, and like, it doesn't have anything, no one cares that I'm 56. Did you hear that? I was 56. You have to clap for me too.
Love it. Woo! Woo!
Okay, thanks. I feel better now. Thanks, guys.
Linda, what about for you?
I just feel that we owe it to ourselves to do and find and work at being our best so that we can flourish. And then I just feel like other things fall into place naturally, organically, when we do take care of ourselves, which then the potential is never ending at that point. I think we all have it in us.
Yeah.
What about you, Agnes?
Totally agree with all the sentiments. I think it's about, it's not about the number, it's about the energy that you bring to the party, right? And the limit is all in your head. I remember so many times, oh, you're not supposed to wear this or wear that after you're 60 or do this. The arbitrary rules, they don't exist. We can do whatever we want, right? Everybody's free. So I think having that freedom and feeling, really embracing it, that you have that freedom is incredibly empowering. And I told you the story that there's this private equity fund that is now investing in entrepreneurs, and they're looking for over 45, and because there's always thinking that you are an entrepreneur when you're young, and you do. You have incredible ideas. Lola, I'm looking at you, which is fabulous, right? But it can happen at any age, right? Great ideas, great thoughts happen at any age. I mean, Julia Child started cooking at 40. You had Susan Boyle singing at 48 and becoming an incredible singer. So you have these incredible women that have these incredible careers. Later on in life, there's no limit. So it's just in our heads. And I think that's where the restriction resides. So we have to kind of like destroy that.
You said it's the energy you bring to the party, and I feel very energized by what happened on stage. So, ladies, thank you so much for the insights you shared. And my one of the many takeaways is reminding each other that we are beautiful. So thank you for this really remarkable and beautiful conversation. And thank you so much to all of you today for having the opportunity to spend time on this really, really important discussion. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.